Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. So, in my initial days, when I started hacking Postgres, I was very curious to know what really happens behind the scenes when we run any query over the PostgreSQL. So, like me, there are many users and database. There are many users wonder actually what really happens when we run any query till the time we get the result, either result or till the time we get the row deleted or till the time the row get updated or till the time data is inserted. So, actually in the audience who are actually playing with the C in the Postgres C code, who are the C coders? Okay, good to know that. So, in this presentation actually I will go through the phases the query goes through in the query's life cycle, and I will explain that. So, this is my little try to suppose this presentation. I hope anyone who really want to hack the Postgres, he will start with the he can read the code and he will start. So, I will be explaining what are the important function available each and every phase. Okay. So, quick introduction to myself. My name is Vaibhav Dalvi. I am a database developer at Enterprise DB working from Pune office. And I started hacking PostgreSQL 4 years ago, and you can find my email ID. So, today's talk agenda is, firstly, I will talk a brief about the Postgres server backend. Then I will give you the entry point for the a simple query, that is maybe select, insert, update, delete. Then I will talk about how to start the debugging the PostgreSQL code, and then later I will go through each phases associated with the Postgres query. So, mainly those are like first phase is parsing phase, second phase is analyze phase, third phase is plan phase, and fourth phase is execution phase. And I will be happy to take the question at the end of the presentation. So, this is the backend. So, when we download the source code and once we compile it, the EDB utility is used. Actually, before running any create command or any other commands, Postgres requires some system catalogs. So, that will be created by the EDB process. Okay. Like every program has their main function. So, our Postgres also has the main function. So, that function is located in the file src backend main.c file. So, all the most of the server process like postmaster main, Postgres main or all other auxiliary processes start execution from the main function. Okay. So, next element is postmaster. This actually controls the startup and the termination of the Postgres server process. And actually this postmaster creates the share memory initially and then goes into the waiting state to accept the connection. When the new connection comes, it actually forks the server process that we call as a Postgres server process. So, and that connection will be assigned to that backend server process. So, every connection coming, so it will be having dedicated one process, that is Postgres process. So, postmaster is the only one process, and you can have a multiple Postgres backends associated with each connection. Okay. Then these are the main query execution phases following that parse, analyze, plan, and the execution. We'll talk about those in later slides. Okay. So, in the Postgres, actually these are three main statements are considered as a DML queries. So, first one is insert to create the new rows, update can be used to change the existing rows, and the delete to remove the existing rows. So, for further reference, we will be taking one table as an example, that is product table, and it has 3 columns: product number, name of the product, and price of the product. So, I have listed given the example of all these 3 DML queries. First one is the insert. We are inserting the one row using the insert command, then updating the row, and then the deleting the row. So, we are taking this example for the reference for the later slides. So yeah, so most of the simple queries, most of the simple queries, this is the entry point for those simple queries. So that the EXEC simple query is the very starting point for the any simple query like select, insert, update, delete. When you want to debug or you want to read the Postgres code, so this is the very first function you can put the breakpoint. So if you see in this function, actually all phases has been listed. So just one notice, I have taken this snippet from the PostgreSQL code. So I may be changed some comments or alignment may be wrong to get that code fitted into the slide. Okay. So if you see the first function that we are calling PG parse query, that is actually the parsing phase. If you come into the for each loop, then for the analyze and rewrite phase, that is PG analyze and rewrite fixed param, that is responsible for the analyze phase. Then PG plan query is responsible for this is actually very first functions I am talking about for every phase of the query. PG plan query is the very first function from where the planning phase starts. And for the execution phase, there are multiple functions like creating portal, starting the portal and the running portal. So I have taken the one function only, portal run. So before moving forward to the next slide, so actually when I given the last talk in 2020, so that time some attendees asked me question about how to start debug the Postgres. Yeah, you have listed the function, but I don't know about how to start the debug. So next slide is going to be that one. So you can consider step 1 as a terminal 1 and step 2 as a terminal 2. So when you log in using the PSQL to a Postgres database, then you can run the select PG backend PID command to get the backend PID, backend process ID, which we are going to debug actually. So as an example, you can see the 18418 is the backend PID. Then in terminal 2, you can run the GDB command, and you can provide that backend PID as a PID. And once you run the GDB command, then you are now in the GDB prompt. Now you can set, as I said earlier, you can set the breakpoint to the EXEC simple query function. Okay, coming to the terminal 1, where you are going to run the Postgres queries. So I have taken one example as an insert query. Okay, so when you run this insert query, as we have kept the breakpoint at EXEC simple query function, this query won't get into the completion. It will be at the stuck state. Okay, then moving to the terminal 2, that is step 4. If you want to continue or if you want to go to that first breakpoint, you need to give the C as a continue, so that now you are moving to the EXEC simple query. So that pointer will go to this definition of the EXEC simple query. So using other GDB commands like N, you can debug into each line of that function. So you can use the yes command to get into the definition of the function. This is very basic information. Maybe some of you are aware, but most of the people last time asked this question, so I added this slide for the reference. Hope this is helpful. Okay, now out of the 4 phases, now we are going to look into the parsing phase. So what actually parsing phase does? So parsing phase actually do, maybe you came across the error like syntax error. So if you put any weird syntax, not a proper syntax, then you get the syntax error. Actually that syntax error comes from this parsing phase. This is the very first phase. When you run any command on the PSQL prompt, this is the very first phase which comes into the picture. So I have listed the very not all, but the important function from this phase, parsing phase. So all these functions actually you can put the breakpoint and you can debug these functions one by one, and you can read the function. So these are the important functions from the parsing phase. So as I mentioned, PG parse query is the very first function from the parsing phase. So in this this is the prototype for the PG parse query function. So it has 2 elements actually, scanner and the parser. So scan.el file, which has a scanner, and gram.y file has the definition of the all the patterns has been written, or the rules has been written into gram.y file. So if you want to read the existing rules, or you want to change the rules or you want to write the new rule, then where you need to write the code is in the gram.y file, where you need to put, if you want to add a new syntax, gram.y is the correct place. So now we'll look the rule which is written for the insert, update and delete. So we'll try to get what is that. So for the reference, I have taken the insert command on the top of right top corner, and this is the snippet from gram.y file for insert statement. So whenever at the starting of the rule OPT is written, that means that keyword or that name or identifier is optional. So if you see at the OPT with clause, that is actually optional rule. So it can be provided. If not provided, then there won't be any error from the grammar. Okay, insert is the keyword, into is the keyword. Then later on insert target is nothing but the table you are going to insert into, that is the insert target. Then after the insert, which columns you want to insert, you can list those down, like product number, name, price. So those are actually insert rest. Then optional on conflict rule you can give. So that is nothing but actually when there is any error or conflict is there, you can give the alternate action with this on conflict rule. Okay, and the returning clause. So after inserting the row, what are the values has been successfully written into the inserted into the row, that you can print. To print all the columns, inserted columns, you can give directly star, and if you want the particular columns from that row, then you can mention those column names here in the returning clause. So this is the syntax from gram.y file. Similarly, for the update command, this is the syntax. So optional with clause, similar to insert command, update the relation which you want to update, then set keyword, then set clause list, then from clause. So from clause, what is this from clause is, you can reference another table from using this from clause in the update statement, and the where clause, then returning clause similar to the insert command. Now the delete statement. So delete statement also has that optional with clause, delete keyword, then from keyword, from which table you want to delete the data, you can mention using after this from keyword. Okay, then using clause is similar to the on conflict or from clause from update statement. So where clause you can mention, and the returning clause similar to the update and insert commands. Okay. Now syntax is correct. Syntactically you are given the command which is correct. Now the next page come into picture is the analyze and rewriting. In short, it has two steps, so we can usually call it as an analyzing phase. So so in parsing state, syntax check will be done, and in analyzing phase, semantic check is done. So I have listed all these functions which are important function. You can put into the debugger, or you can read from the code, and these are the important functions. So you can start debugging, or you can start explore this function one by one. Okay, moving further. So I have when you have the one query like insert into products, right, product table, but after syntax is correct, but that product table is not exist, then what happens? Which phase actually identifies whether that object is present or not in the database? So that task actually done by this phase, analyze phase. So whether those objects are present, whether the provided column list it is available or not. So if there is any wrong information, so that will be detected during this phase. So PG analyze and rewrite fixed param, this is the very initial or the starting point for the analyze phase. So there are two steps. This phase is divided into two steps: performing the parse analyze and then rewriting this phase. Okay. So this is the first step, analyze phase. So in this phase, actually the important function is transform statement. So transformation happens during this phase. So for the I have listed three statements here, like for the insert statement, the important function is transform insert statement. For the delete function, transform delete statement, and for the update function, transform update statement. Similarly, in the switch case, different like merge statement, select statement, so multiple has there, but I listed as per our scope 3 statement here. So these are the 3 main function for the transformation phase. And next step in the analyze phase is rewrite phase. So query rewriting. So you have written the query, and that query can be rewritten to the 0 query or the multiple queries. So one example is creating the rule. When you create any rule on the particular table, so on that you can have on select do nothing. So nothing means no query will be executed. So rewritten query will be 0. No queries will be written. And on delete, on insert, on so the actually while writing the rule, these queries. So rewriting phase, I have given one example. When user write the rule on that particular table, so that query will be written rewritten by this rewriter function. So these are the 3 main steps associated with this rewrite phase. This is actually the prototype for the rewrite query function. So as I mentioned earlier, so checking the city list and adjusting the target list, it is done in the rewrite query function. Now we are coming to the third phase of the query execution, that is the planning phase. Okay. So in short, in brief, what is the planning? So if you consider when you are traveling from assume from Pune to Bangalore, you have different paths. Like you can come by air, or you can come by road, or you can come by train. So as a unit, you can consider if you want to find the cost, you can consider time time and money, how much you are required. So out of 3, so whichever is the best one, so you will follow that path. So similarly, planner does. Planner actually initially finds all the available paths to get to the destination or to get the required result. So it will find all available paths to reach into the destination. Then out of those available paths, depends upon the cost, the best path will be chosen, and that best path will be converted to the plan. Best path is converted to the plan, and that plan is given to the executor. So this is a simple or brief explanation for the plan. So I have listed all these main functions, all these important functions associated with the planning phase. So planner, standard plan, subquery plan, grouping planner, query planner, create modifiable path. So this last function, create modifiable path, it is actually responsible for adding the modifiable path. Means if you have insert, update, delete this DML command, so this create modified table path function will be adding that path into the path list. Okay, moving forward. So PG plan queries is the entry point for the planning phase. This is the important function from the planning, very first function. So in this actually, as we are coming from the analyze phase. So analyze phase gives the query tree to the planner phase. Then planner will get that query tree and then convert that into the best plan. Okay. So PG plan query will be calling the planner function. So this is the prototype of the PG plan queries. Now this is the planning flow. So whatever the written in the boxes, those are actually the function names: planner, standard planner, subquery planner, grouping planner, query planner. So when you have the where clause in any update delete or update delete command, then that will be actually if there is any where clause, so path for scan portion of the query will be taken care by the query planner function. Then it gives that path to the grouping planner. Then as I mentioned earlier, create modified table path, that function actually gives the modifiable path to the grouping planner. Then the grouping planner does the top level processing. Then subquery planner actually select the cheapest path from the available path list, and the standard planner function actually creates the plan for the best path which he got from the subquery planner function. So this is the overview of the planning phase. So this will give the picture of the planning phase, how actually this flow happens in brief. Okay. Moving forward. So as I mentioned earlier, the important function in case of the DML queries, which in that case create modified table path, this function actually adds the modifiable path into the available list path. Available paths get into the destination, and the main data structure which we need, that is modified table path data structure, that is nothing but the structure we have, and it has multiple elements into it. So the task of the create modified table path is to fill those entries and give it to the grouping planner. So this is the main important data structure in case of DML queries. Now planner have chosen the best path and created that into the plan. Now next phase is execution phase. So executing that plan to the completion and giving the result is the task of the executor actually. So these are the main function. So I have listed all the main function, all the important function actually from the execution phase, that is create portal, portal define query, portal start the portal, then set the result format, create the receiver, destination receiver, running the portal, and then dropping the portal after getting the required result. So going forward into the execution phase. So as I said earlier, EXEC simple query, in the same function you can find all the related function related to execution phase. So starting up, it starts with the parsing, then analyzing, then planning, then creating the portal. Creating portal is nothing but the assigning the name to the portal, then defining the portal, the query defining the query to the portal, then starting the portal, then get the result set, and then running the portal and dropping the portal. So these are all the responsible function for the execution phase I have listed here. Now similarly for the planning phase, now I have the flow chart for the execution phase. This is, I have all the written, all these are the function names. So you can directly take this function and you can put into the GDB and you can start debugging the execution phase. So the main two, this can be divided into two parts, that is starting the portal and the running the portal. So in terms of DML queries, actually it's starting in the starting the portal phase, in that it will choose the strategy, portal strategy from that. So portal multi-query, so nothing more to be done here in the portal starting phase in case of DML queries. When coming to the portal run function, in that actually starting the executor, then initializing the planner, then executing the node, and the important function for the DML queries is the executing init modified table. AXEC init modified table is the function actually responsible for executing the DML queries. And then according to the query, if it is a where query, then first sequential scan will happen, then executor run function will be called. After that the plan will be executed, and then accordingly the node has been given, that node will be executed one by one. So this is the brief flow chart for the execution phase I have created. Now during this presentation, I went through multiple functions. During this presentation, I went through multiple functions. So here you can find the recap or the overview of all the slides here. So if you see, I have listed the libpq functions, okay, all the libpq function, then the backend function, then the scanner or the parsing function, then the analyze and rewrite function, optimizer or executor. So this one slide will give you all the functions, and you can take these functions and you can read the code or you can debug the Postgres code. So this is the overview of all the slides in my presentation. I think we are done with slides. Now we are, these are the references. I have taken the references from the Bruce, so one of the PDF, and from the Hiromi Suzuki and the Postgres 15 documentation. One thing with the Postgres 15, along with the insert, update, delete, we have the merge command introduced. So it can be, you can perform the insert, only insert, or all three operation in the using single command, that is merge statement. So my colleague Shruti Keshi will be giving the talk on the merge command today, same conference hall. Okay, you can attend that. So now we can take the question.
Any questions?
Hello, Vaibhav. In your second slide, you had shown that, you had shown a way like to find out the PID using PG backend PID, right? So if I want to debug a running process, right? Because that is the one, if I have to start debugger, if I am able to reproduce, right? But if I have my debug binary version which is already running, right? Now how can one find out the PID of that?
I didn't get the question.
So if you have, for example, you have your binary already running.
Okay.
It's a debug version of binary, right? It's already running. Now you want to attach the debugger to that. How would we do that?
Yeah, using a PS command, you can list PS-elf command. You can list all the, and you can grep using Postgres. So all Postgres related workers or any other binaries related to Postgres, you can find out and you can attach the GDB to that process.
Yeah.
Hope that
makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, no. Thank you, Vaibhav.
Yeah, thank you.